Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it happens to be while you're watching this. My name's Kevin Putz here. A number of you follow me on Twitter, and guess it's time to put the face and voice behind the name. I used to make videos under the name Kevin Biomech, and I have used that name, frankly, for decades. But I have decided after years of sitting on the sideline that I can't sit on the sideline anymore, and a nom de plume is not good enough if you're considering going into politics. I am considering going into politics. Okay, I'm not considering it, I'm intending to do it. At what level, I haven't yet decided because I've got a lot of research to do. But I do have some comments to make, some things to say, and since some of you have known me as Kevin Biomech in the past, and you were going to bring up this in the beginning, I am still an anarchist. However, that is not the world we live in. Yes, I believe that eventually we can get to a point where humanity is equal enough that we can live without vast central governments and vast tax structures. But we're not there. We're not even close to there. We're in fact so far from there that it looks to be the work of generations to even begin such a project. So, what do you do when you're living in the world that you're in and it's not the world you want it to be? Work for change. Right now, we are ruled by a corporate oligarchy masquerading as a democracy. This needs to change. This video is off the cuff. My future videos will be more scripted, and I'll probably have my glasses on, but hey, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I have the time. I have the flu, so my voice sounds like hell, so hey, perfect time to make a video, right? So here we go. I'm going to only cover a little ground here because A, it's not scripted, and B, I gotta get this off my chest. A background, I was once a Republican. That was a good many years ago. I worked in the campaign of Governor Phil Batt as a volunteer. I came to meet a great deal of the Republican leadership that still exists at the federal level during that time, and I found out that absolutely every one of them, with one exception, I won't name him because his son is a dick, uh, absolutely hate the poor. I don't mean that they don't understand us. That seems to be the case with the Democrat elite. I mean they hate us. They don't understand us, but they hate us. They view us as less than human. You MAGA guys out there, I'm going to try not to be as insulting as I frequently am on this, because I do understand to some degree the appeal of the Republicans, because they always are talking about how, if you make these rich people able to do things, it's going to trickle down into the economy. Yeah, well, it would have by now. That shit started under Nixon. It got more accelerated under Reagan. The Bushes continued it. Where'd it get us? In real terms, our current minimum wage is less than it was under Reagan. They inflated the money supply 89% in 2009. The people who always claim they don't do inflation. Yes, it was under Obama, but it was Bush's plan, signed off on by Bush before he left office. And even if it hadn't been, it was at the point where it was going to happen because of all the malinvestments, etc. But this is not an economics lesson. I don't have time for that, and you probably don't want to hear it anyway. Think about it this way. All of you who are attacking the Democrats for the impeachment, flip the script. If anyone other than your current president did the things he did, he would be impeached. He would be impeached in the Senate, and he would be tried for treason. He is exactly who Hamilton was talking about when they added impeachment to the text of the Constitution of the United States. The fact that none of the Republicans are stepping up on these obvious and egregious abuses of power should concern you greatly. Okay, you can disagree with the Democrats all you want. That's political. That's philosophical. I did for years. I'm a registered Democrat now. I did that with a great deal of hesitation, and now I'm going to flip scripts and say why. This is to the Democrats, to the resistors who follow me, to all the thinking people. Drop the purity tests. Bernie's not perfect. Joe Biden's not perfect. Elizabeth Warren is not perfect. Pete Buttigieg is not perfect. Andrew Yang is not perfect. Cory Booker is not perfect. None of them are perfect. None of them are your Messiah. None of them are going to be your Messiah. And while you're at it, look at the MAGAs. They followed a Messiah. Look what it got them. Knock it off. The Republicans win because they are united. They do not win because they are ideologically pure. They do not win because they have better ideas. They are conservatives trying to conserve a fantasy that never existed. They win because they are united. They might squabble a little bit up until the nomination, but once that nomination is there, they don't sit it out. They vote, and they mean it. Yeah, it's true that the vast majority of them are voting against their own interests. The Republican base is not well educated. This is a fact. This is something that we can determine very easily. There are exceptions, and there are idiots in the Democrat side too. And there are idiot independents. Idiocy knows no ideology, it just is. But the purity test's got to stop. Well, if it ain't Bernie, I ain't gonna vote. Well, guess what? Bernie's my favorite candidate. My least favorite of the field. Well, almost. My least favorite of the field that's likely to get somewhere is Joe Biden. If he gets it, I'm voting for him. If it's Elizabeth Warren, I'm voting for her. If it's Cory Booker, I'm voting for him. If it's Andrew Yang, which I would enthusiastically vote for him. I was certainly looking for negative examples here, but I like Yang. I disagree with him on a few things, but hey, no purity test. He ticks the majority of my boxes. He's sincere. He's real. And he's not the goddamn traitor that's in our office right now. We do not live in normal times. In normal times, you might be able to do this kind of discourse. You might be able to do the purity test and say, well, maybe we'll get it next time. Folks, if you want 4 more years of Donald J. Trump, if you want to continue to watch children be put in cages at the border, if you want to continue to see our allies handed over to the Russians and the Turks, if you want to continue seeing America become the laughingstock of the world, if you want to continue seeing the poor get poorer while 500 people gather all of the wealth of the United States, then by all means keep this stupidity up. On the other hand, if you would like to see some changes, if you would like the United States to actually become something that means a good thing, once again, instead of seeing your citizens looking to Europe, looking to anywhere but here as a means of escape from their horrid lives, because half of us don't make enough to survive, no matter the fact that we are working 40, 50, and 60 hours a week, well, then you need to pull your shit together and accept that no matter who gets that nomination, they are not going to be your ideal candidate. None of them. The 2 I favor have flaws. So do the rest. I think Joe Biden is too much of a moderate. I don't think this is a time for moderation, but he's better than what we got. I think Elizabeth Warren, kind of like me, has come from a conservative background and hasn't quite figured out where she's going yet. She's better than what we got. I think Bernie Sanders is a little too polemic. He's better than what we got. I think Andrew Yang needs to refine his ideas. I think he's the most sincere of the lot. He's got some problems. So what? They're all better than what we've got. Oh, and while we're at it, the Electoral College has got to go, but it hasn't gone, and it's not going to go by 2020. But guess what? Every other position in the executive and congressional branches is controlled by you. That's right. That's a popular vote. You want to make a difference to the point where even if the orange buffoon wins again, flip the Senate. It's not that hard. If you vote by the same margins as the last election for all the vacant or challenged Senate positions, then Donald Trump can no longer do what he does, even if he wins the presidency, because the House and the Senate will be controlled by the Democrats or by a coalition of Democrats and independents. If that is the case, then he ain't going to get no rubber stamp for this shit. Then you can change things. Right now, what you got is a dictatorship. It's not even a soft dictatorship. I would like all of you who are not already familiar with it to go to Wikipedia and look up World War II, particularly Germany, because the IQ is considerably lower, but the playbook is the same. Challenge the authority of the parliament. Yes, we do not call our Congress a parliament, but it is. Say that the constitutional powers are invalid because I'm the leader, and ram it down people's throat. That's what he does. That is exactly what he does. This is what Hitler did. This is what the Nazi Party did, that they would put people into the parliament for the purpose of being disruptive, like in the impeachment trial when you've got that tool Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan standing up there screaming, rah, 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 and saying not one goddamn thing. I want you to think about this. I want the MAGAs to think about this, and I want particularly the resistors to think about this, because you're not driving the point home enough. Everything they have done since Nancy Pelosi announced the impeachment has been exactly what the Nazi Party did in Weimar Germany. And it's how they won. They disrupted the parliament to the point where they voted in their favor, despite the evidence. They then installed Hitler as the Chancellor of Germany, and from there on, everything he did was legal. They rubber stamped it because they were afraid of him, because they were pushed down, and because he started purging people. How many people has the White House gone through in this administration? How many times has Donald Trump said that loyalty to him comes first? Those are not the words of a president, people. Those are the words of a ruler. We're supposed to be a nation of, for, and by the people. It hasn't been true in a long time, but right now we're stepping in the opposite direction at a high rate of speed. If you want to change it, you stop the purity tests on the Democratic side, and on the Republican side, conservative side, you need to think about it real hard. Do you want to be a corporate oligarchy? Because at root, that's what fascism is. Mussolini called it corporatism, a partnership between business and government. In itself, that is not wrong. But when it is the basis of everything, you get what we got. Another part of that ideology, though, is hatred, because it creates such inequalities that there has to be a hated group to blame those inequalities on, because you can't look at the system. No. No, if there's a system out there that's a problem, but that system cannot be questioned, well, you got to divert those questions somewhere. And that's what Trump has done. He has played the white nationalist card. He has made it so that people that look like me are supposed to be the superior race. And I get called on it too. Well, guess what? I'm not just this race. Yeah, I'm white. I'm also red. Possibly brown. I don't know. I'm a mutt. And I'm proud of that. And I will always be proud of that. Why? Because there's one race that matters, and it's the human race. And I'm human. And I'm not so certain about Donald Trump. Y'all have a good one.